Hey guys, so today we are going to be taking one last breakdown look here at Ultra Super Janemba before he releases just in a few hours. Yesterday I did a very in-depth breakdown of this character when I took a look at his kit for the first time. So if you guys want like a super in-depth breakdown, I would take a look at that video that I released, like 10 hours ago or whatever it is. But let's go ahead and see what this guy's able to do here. I mean, I'm not going to go through everything because we already did that yesterday, but we weren't able to look at his stats. So let's quickly take a look at what he's able to do. Yeah, so he is a melee type character, which we were able to figure that out based off of the fact that his Z ability is giving strike attacks, and not that crazy. So when I click this display maximum stats button, as usual, we will have to account for the max arts boost system as well as the title boosts not being taken into consideration here. So at the end of the day, we're going to be subtracting around 8,000 from the numbers that we're about to see to get his total stats. Okay, so looks like he's going to be hovering right around 270,000 to his strike attack, which is pretty damn good. It's what we would expect from an Ultra at this point. I think like Ultra Vegito Blue was probably a little bit higher than that. I have to double check, but it's not bad. Main offensive stat at 270 for an Ultra character, that's good. Blast is going to be like high 250s, so like 258, which is not the greatest, but it's fine. It's not his main offensive stat. And then defensively, he's going to be seemingly over 180k to both, which is very good. I will very, very much so take that. Looks like he'll be at around like 182 to strike and then 181-ish to blast defense, which, yeah, that's good. That is very good. He holds a strike, a normal strike, and a normal blast. Normal strike and normal blast. Let me just see what other Ultra characters have. What does Vegito have? Normal strike and normal blast, huh? Interesting. I'm actually kind of curious now, like what? Normal strikes. Do all Ultra characters like just don't they just don't have like special cards? Hit has one. Okay. Let me check Gogeta Blue. Two normal strikes and then Kid Buu. Let's just see him and then we'll move on. Yeah, he has one. Okay, I'm actually kind of surprised about that. They don't like giving these Ultra characters like the cards that have special effects on them. Interesting. Okay, so normal strike and normal blast. Of course, he has three main teams: Regen, Powerful Opponent, and Sagas from the movies. Now, it is interesting to note that his Z ability, so if we go ahead and max him out here, his Z ability actually does not buff Powerful Opponent. I'm a bit surprised by that. I would have thought that his 42% to strike attack and blast defense would have also included Powerful Opponent, but I guess that normally is not how they do that. They normally only give that 2 tags, right? So regen in movies, and then of course Ultra ability is buffing regen, or is dependent upon regen. So in terms of the things I would like to highlight with this character, so the way that this guy gains cover nullification is the first time he switches in, or I guess not the first time he switches in, but every time he switches in, the first arts card that he uses, whether it's a strike or a blast card, it's only going to apply to those cards. He is getting cover nullification for 5 counts, which activates once per switch in. So the way this should work is it'll work similarly to the Z duo, Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta, where when Goku enters the battlefield, the first strike or blast that he uses will give him cover nullification. Now, of course, Janemba's a bit different because he's not a tag character, so Janemba's cover nullification effect will reset when he switches back out and comes back in. So that's going to last for 5 counts. It'll be interesting to see how big of an effect that has because, again, cover nullification is one of the most powerful abilities in the game. Most of the best units in the game have access to a very steady supply of cover nullification, so we'll see how effective Janemba's ends up being here. 5 counts every time he switches in is not exactly like a premium way, I would say, of getting cover nullification. Look at like characters like Ultra Vegito Blue, who just almost seemingly constantly have it active. Goku and Frieza, the Frieza side constantly has it active. Namek Goku, whenever he uses a green card, which he literally spawns green cards for himself, he's going to constantly have cover nullification active. The Gammas get cover nullification whenever they tag out, which is pretty easy for them to do. So you go through the list of like all the best characters in the game, and they have a very easy way of getting it. Janemba has a very easy way of getting it as well, but the uptime on this cover nullification is going to be pretty low, I think, compared to the other better units in the game. So we'll see. We'll see how that impacts the character. Getting 20% damage inflicted for 10 counts every time he uses a strike or a blast card, on top of the fact that he starts the fight with 150% damage inflicted here, means that he is going to be doing a lot of damage that's going to ramp up very fast. Now, the buff only lasts for 10 counts, so that could be a problem, quote-unquote a problem, in which we probably will see that buff fall off before he's able to stack that up to like an obscene amount, but it should still be pretty good. And then the other thing I wanted to point out, of course, is going to be his unique gauge effect. So this guy, essentially, his unique gauge is a strike version of Ultra Gogeta Blue's unique gauge. And the one main difference I would actually like to point out about this is he starts the fight with a full unique gauge right here. Does he counter tackles? I actually want to see this. Does he counter tackles? Let me see if it actually tells us. It says, while this character is in one of the following states, if own unique gauge is full, consumes entire unique gauge to counter enemy strike arts and most forward charging and other special move and special arts. So it doesn't say tackles. I'm assuming it doesn't counter tackles. That would be kind of ridiculous. But the interesting thing about this Janemba's unique gauge is, number one, it starts filled up, charges unique gauge by 100% when battle starts, so that's going to be pretty interesting. Now, the thing with Janemba is because this is going to counter strike cards, the only way an enemy can really dump strike cards from their hand when fighting this character is by strike canceling. So if you're the person who's using Janemba, I feel like something you're probably going to want to try and do with him is to like hunt your opponent's strike cancels. So if your opponent goes for a strike cancel, what you want to do with Janemba is you want to actually move up into the strike cancel so you can catch them with the strike cancel and then counter him with the unique gauge. I think that's going to be a pretty toxic sort of like strategy that people can use with this unique gauge. You can also combo this Janemba with Ultra Gogeta Blue in the same team, so you could have a character that's comboing or that's countering strikes and a character that's countering blasts. Could be for a pretty it could make for a pretty annoying team to fight against. And then the other thing I wanted to quickly point out about this character is the fact that he does have a similar effect to LF17. It's a little bit weaker than 17, but it's still a similar effect here, so I'm going to read the bottom here. The following effects occur when an enemy activates an Ultimate Arts, Awakened Arts, or Rising Rush while this character is on the battlefield. Restores ally health by 10%, activates once. Shortens allies subcount by 10. Now that's important to remember because this shortens ally subcount by 10, activates unlimited amounts of times. So it's going to be very, very easy for this Janemba to avoid dying. It's a pretty similar effect, actually. This is the exact same effect as the tag Super Saiyan 4 characters. Right? It's really hard to like catch the tag 4s and kill them really quickly because they have this subcount manipulation when you use an ultimate or a rising rush against them, which will then play into the effects here that he gets when you have a dead battle member. He gets a full unique gauge, he draws cards, and he goes type neutral, right? But what I wanted to talk about quickly was he cancels enemies' attribute upgrades and buff effects when the enemy activates an ultimate, awakened arts, or rising rush once. So if you're in the battlefield with this Janemba and the enemy has not used an ultimate on Janemba or rising rush Janemba up until that point, and let's say you're going up against like Ultra Vegito Blue, who goes type neutral and nullifies enemy endurance effects on rising rush activation, if Vegito Blue rising rushes against this Janemba while this is still available to Janemba, Janemba can switch into a character that has endurance, and that character can survive the rising rush. Right? It's very similar to 17, because 17 also removes enemy buff effects when they activate a Rising Rush, which then allows characters that have endurance, including 17 himself, to survive the Rising Rush. Now, the main difference between Janemba's effect here and 17's effect is that 17's effect activates 3 times, whereas Janemba's activates once. And the main reason why that's important is because 17 having 3 charges of that means that even if 17 gets ulted twice throughout the battle, and then gets Rising Rush by Vegito after that, he'll still have that third charge left to be able to defend himself against that Rising Rush, nullifying his endurance. But Janemba only has one charge of this. So if Janemba gets ulted in the battle prior to him getting Rising Rushed, and then he gets Rising Rushed, you won't be able to save whatever character you're about to switch into that has endurance, because you won't have any charges left of this. So it only activates once, which I think is it's a pretty important thing to note, and you have to keep track of that in your head, whether you're the person using Janemba or the person fighting against Janemba. Have you already made use of this one-time activation or not? So I think that's going to be something important to keep in the back of your mind when fighting this unit or when using the character. So that's Janemba. I mean, the main points about him we talked about. The only other thing to really mention here is we should have gotten a unique equipment for blue regen, which they talked about in the reveal and stuff. It's probably going to be the only other thing that we're getting this week, honestly. It's probably not going to be anything too crazy. We are getting a raid too, I guess. But yeah, okay, here we go. So it's this right here. They also mentioned this is going to be a... they said this is going to be an equipment collection equipment. So we have Merciless Pursuits. So this is for blue regen. 10% to ultimate damage, 35% to strike attack, and then 35% to blast attack. Do I even like this? I'm not feeling this. Nah, I mean, regen has access to so many powerful equipment options that I don't think this is what you want to use. I mean, this is giving 0 defense. Janemba is not really a character you're really going to be wanting to pump tons of blast into. Ultimate damage is fine. I mean, ultimate damage is pretty good for Janemba because, remember, he can use multiple ultimates because he draws an ultimate the first time he counters the opponent with his unique gauge. But so, like, slot 1 and slot 2 are fine, but I feel like slot 3 is almost a waste. Like, if they, instead of giving 35% blast attack in slot 3, all they had to do was just give slot 3, what? 10% strike and blast defense, and then 10% HP. That's it. Like, where's the, let me see if I could find this. I'm trying to find the Vegito blue equipment, this one. Like, look how they designed this one. 12.5% to both defenses, 30% strike attack in slot 2, 10% HP, and then 10% ultimate damage. Why couldn't they just copy and paste this? And then just make it blue regen characters? Like, why couldn't they just do that? I don't know. Because I feel like Vegito Blue and Janemba are basically characters that want the same stats. I feel like all they needed to do with this is slot 3 just replace the blast attack, 10% to both defenses, and then 10% HP, and boom, it's fine. I'm not really a big fan of this. I think they messed up with this one. Okay, I mean, that should be it. I don't think, yeah, we got no new awakened equipment or anything like that. Okay, so that's going to be it for this one. Again, Ultra Janemba plus the equipment, plus we're getting a new raid as well. And also, we are getting a equipment bonanza too. So that is going to be it. It's a pretty quick breakdown here, but we already went through the majority of Janemba, his kit yesterday. So again, if you guys want to see my full reaction to the kit as well as my in-depth thoughts about the kit, check that video out. Let me know down below what you guys think of Janemba. If you guys are summoning, wish you good luck. Summon video will be up when the banner drops. Showcase will be up as soon as possible. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll see you all in the next one.